And there's no need for further introduction because, I mean, he is a man who is doing great things out here. The Principal Secretary of Shipping and Maritime Affairs, Karibu Sana, Shadrach Mwandime.
Thank you for having me here.
We are grateful to have you in our studio today.
Thank you.
And we have seen you a lot. Where even when you took office, you're doing a lot of things. And of course, we'd want to know, now that you're in office, what are some of the strategies that you guys are putting in place to make sure that we attain the utmost growth in the industry of shipping and maritime affairs?
Thank you. It's exciting to be here, first of all. The Blue Radio, owing to the fact that it's young people who are running it. This is exciting. When I was invited by Gilbert, your CEO, I said, Kabisa, I would love to come over and, talk to your viewers concerning the mandate of the Shipping and Maritime Affairs State Department. As you well know, it's not a very old State Department. It was established about 6 years ago by the previous administration, but we've taken it up also as a Kenya Kwanza administration, basically because of the resources that are available within the blue economy, resources that we can exploit in order to expand our economy, our national economy. And not only that, one of our objects is to establish as many job opportunities as possible in the blue economy. And we've gone full throttle on it. We hit the ground running. We have tried as much as we can, even to liaise with the international shipping lines to ensure that we get these job opportunities, the slots that are available. We are competing with other countries also. Philippines is way ahead of us. But as a Kenyan, economy, we too have the capacity of running and even passing what Philippines has been able to do and other Southeast Asian countries in terms of exploiting resources in the blue economy.
Okay. So when you say you are creating job opportunities, how is that going to happen?
Yeah, so I want to encourage as many young people as possible, particularly graduates who are tamarking out there, to realize that we can convert them into seafarers very, very easily. We have Bandari Maritime Academy and other institutions also that offer courses on seafaring, So if, for example, one has done electrical engineering, then we can as well be able to absorb them after they go through the STCW course at Bandari Maritime Academy. We can be able to absorb them as seafarers to work as electricians, in the shipping companies that ply the Indian Ocean, the international waters, and also those that dock in our harbor here in Mombasa. Someone who has done mechanical engineering, for example, one can go for a conversion course at Jomo Kenyatta University College of Agriculture and Technology, to convert into a marine engineer. Because that's where opportunities are available as it is. The hospitality industry, and coastal people are extremely good when it comes to matters hospitality. We can take them to Bandari Maritime Academy, those who are tamarking out there, graduates of Utali and other private universities who have done hotel management, allow them to undertake that course, a 10-day course. After that, they are registered by Kenya Maritime Authority as seafarers, and the next step is just embarkation. Yeah.
Well, there has been an issue of, knowing which schools actually offer courses that are related to maritime and shipping. So if you would break down the institutions that people can actually relate to in terms of shipping and maritime affairs.
Absolutely. So the premier institution, government premier institution, is obviously Bandari Maritime Academy. Bandari Maritime Academy began as Bandari College many years back, a college that was established by Kenya Ports Authority, to train their staff members on matters shipping, matters engineering, matters to do with management of the port. But gradually with time, the government took it up and through a gazette notice converted it from Bandari College to Bandari Maritime Academy. Now this is our object, more so as the Kenya Kwanza administration. We intend to convert it into a regional center of excellence, and we are going to plow in a lot of resources. We will invest heavily in terms of the infrastructure that is required, in terms of the equipment that they also need to train our students to become the best in terms of maritime issues even in the world. So in the next 10-15 years, that's what we're going to do for Bandari Maritime Academy. But we have other institutions also that offer courses that are geared towards making our young people seafarers. We have Jomo Kenyatta University College of Agriculture and Technology. I think I did mention it earlier, that offers courses on marine engineering and nautical science. We have the Technical University of Mombasa that is situated within this beautiful island. We have Pioneer University in Nairobi. These are some of the institutions that we have. The Railway Marine Institute also in Kisumu, So there are several of them. There are several universities that offer marine courses.
When you say you'll invest in infrastructure in Bandari, but not all of us will be able to go to Bandari. Some of us will go to the other institutions. And I have been a student at Technical University of Mombasa, and we had marine students, but they didn't have the infrastructure themselves. I never heard them saying we've gone to do something in the ocean. It was just mostly theoretical. So how do you help the others who are in other institutions, yet the infrastructure will go to Bandari, probably?
That's a very, very critical question, Wambui. Very, very important question. In fact, I had an opportunity of sitting with the Parliamentary Committee on Delegated Regulations just recently, and it became more or less a think tank, much as I was there to appraise them, concerning matters shipping and maritime affairs, but we explored what you are actually raising in a very comprehensive way. Because it does not really add up. It doesn't add any value for our young people to go through some theoretical courses, but they don't have the practical bit of it. So that when it comes to employment, it becomes a challenge.
Exactly.
Sea time experience is very critical when it comes to maritime jobs. And therefore, one of the proposals that we are coming up with, even with reference, to the university, that you attended and many others, we are going to insist that sea time experience should be part of the course. It's not possible for you to train a pilot without taking him on the skies, just theoretically. And it's the same, understanding also when it comes to marine jobs. It's not possible, for one to be absorbed by the international companies without sea time experience. Sea time is very critical, by the way. It goes hand in hand with the theoretical aspect. And therefore, we're going to change the regulations so that we insist that educational institutions that offer courses on matters maritime must then have a memorandum of understanding with some of these international shipping companies so that our young people can be able to get the sea time experience that they require. And the minimum is just 1 year, being in the sea for a whole year. That qualifies you now, to join the international market in a competitive way, so that you're able to secure the high-paying jobs. But let me say this now. This is in accordance with the policy that we are putting in place. We cannot rely on the international shipping companies alone.
I was
Indeed,
coming
it's
to that.
It's a question of now going to beg them, for that experience. Kenya National Shipping Line, which is our national carrier, and would assume our national pride,
Yes.
has been in existence for the last 30 years.
Uh-huh.
But the unfortunate bit is they don't even have a single ship.
And the other day we were having a discussion with Seafarer, who's a woman, and she was telling us the problem, the challenge they have is having to deal with other shipping companies, international shipping companies, yet you don't have somewhere at home to go to. You have to go to other people, yet as a country with the sea, we need to have our own.
Absolutely.
So what are you doing, or what are you planning to do in terms of that?
Yes, and I understand the lady that you're talking to. It's a frustrating situation. Because before you secure that internship with the international shipping companies, you'll be out there for a while. Those opportunities don't come easy.
Yeah.
But you can imagine if we had our own national carrier, it's just a question of directing them on a certain number per year. So this is what we are doing. We are revamping Kenya National Shipping Line.
Okay.
Because it's a strategic parastatal. It's strategic for two reasons. Actually, the object is twofold. Number one, in terms of the sea time experience that our young people need, as they assist in terms of transportation of our exports, in terms of transportation of our imports, then young people will obviously get that opportunity to get the sea time experience. And we are creating several revenue streams to ensure that we get there. The economy may not be doing very well, but if we are creative enough, we can get the resources that we require in order to buy a ship.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example of a country that has been very strategic on this. And that's the reason why also, as the Kenya Kwanza administration, we are going out aggressively to ensure that we are able, to match some of these countries. Ethiopia is a landlocked country. But because they know that the cost of goods in their country can only be brought down by having their own national carrier, they now have 11 ships.
Wow.
And it's a landlocked country. Kenya, with the extensive coastal line that we have of nearly 600 kilometers that goes into the international waters, we don't even have a single ship. So we are going out aggressively to create revenue streams as we revamp Kenya National Shipping Line. One of the revenue streams, and I would wish to explain this to some of the entrepreneurs who are involved in this sector, is by clearing goods that are imported and exported by the government. So the clearance, Kenya National Shipping Line becomes a clearance agency, and the money, that we've been using to engage some private companies, some of them even from abroad, and therefore our money has been going out. It's not all that are local. We are now going to ring fence this fund, to ensure that Kenya National Shipping Line is able to benefit from it. Now, I said we are revamping Kenya National Shipping Line for two reasons. The second one is the cost of living, because the cost of living is extremely high.
Very.
All our supermarkets, have goods that have been imported from abroad. The cost of these goods is determined by these international shipping companies. As you well know, they made abnormal profits, particularly during the COVID season, COVID period. And therefore, if we can have our own national carrier, what does it imply in terms of the cost of goods? It will go down, because it's not the private sector that is determining the transportation costs. And therefore, gradually, with time, the cost of the goods that we make use of here on an everyday basis as a country will go down.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I'm saying Kenya National Shipping Line has to be revamped. Yeah, we don't have an option.
But then someone would ask, when, let's say, the Kenya Kwanza was getting into office, they said in the 100 days we're going to do this and this. So for you, do you have a time that you're going to tell us, by this time we will have done this? Do we have a limit of time?
Yes, we do. I mean, anything that is not measured, you'll not be able to produce results. And therefore, we have performance contracts as government. Yeah, we set targets, and those targets have to be accomplished, by the end of the financial year. But you're talking of 100 days. I've been in office, I think, for the last 3 months or so. I've already been able to secure over 700 jobs for young people as seafarers. As you well know, just about a week ago, we flagged off 500, and the deputy president himself was the guest of honor, and it was all over media.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yes. So, in essence, what I'm trying to say is, I think by the end of this year, by the end of this financial year, possibly about 3,000 young people will have secured jobs as seafarers, with the shipping companies that we have an MOU with. One of the shipping companies is MSC, Mediterranean Sea Company. MSC, by the way, they kind of owe their allegiance to Kenya, because their first port of call where they did business was the port of Mombasa in the 70s. And as you know, MSC currently is the biggest shipping company in the world. In the world. And therefore, we've entered into a memorandum of understanding with them that they take a certain percentage of our young people who graduate from our institutions, both in terms of sea time experience and also in terms of employment. Mind you, MSC is going into cruise ships as it is now. And one of their major cruise ships will be calling on our port sometime in February next year with about 3,000 tourists. So we have an understanding with them. We also have an understanding with CMA, CGM. They began by taking on board 6, young people who graduated Bandari Maritime Academy per year. We have implored upon them to add on to the numbers. They recently told me they're now going to take 12. And going forward, we hope that they'll be able to take 25 and more. Because this is another major shipping company. So in essence, what I'm saying is we have memorandum of understanding, with some of these international shipping companies to ensure sea time and also employment.
Before we go for a break, now that there have been a lot of young people who have gone to work as seafarers, but there are others who are struggling even to pay the fee and by extension the required courses. They must have courses. How do we help such people? Because they're saying the fees is a problem, and there's this certificate. Do you get it after 10 days?
Yes, the STCW.
The STCW.
Right.
That is a problem also.
I know.
So as the government, how do you help in such a situation?
Yeah, when I came into office, I realized that the dropout rate, particularly at Bandari Maritime Academy, is extremely high, which is disheartening, really, because we want our young people to complete these courses and eventually secure jobs. So this is what I'm doing. Number one, I have directed the Kenya Maritime Authority, which is a regulator in this industry, to set aside 20 million as part of their corporate social responsibility. This is money that has been wired to the Higher Education Loans Board so that young people can apply for these loans. And you see, it is ring-fenced, basically, for seafarers. It's actually ring-fenced. We've given instructions to that effect. So anybody doing another course will not be able to access this 20 million. So young people who are at Bandari and the other educational institutions who are having challenges in paying their college fees, we want to ask them to apply for this money because it is there. It's a revolving fund. As they repay back, and we know they will, because you see, these are very high-paying jobs, extremely high-paying jobs. The minimum is $1,000 per month.
Per month.
Yeah, which converts into about 140,000, Kenya shillings per month. So it will not be a challenge for them really to pay back the college fees after they secure employment. KCB has also come on board in terms of embarkation, because there is medical examination that is required.
Yeah.
There is the certificate that is issued by Kenya Maritime Authority that I think costs about 8,000, and they're also giving those soft loans. But not only that, just to excite, young people even more who would wish to go into seafaring jobs. This evening, I'm meeting Equity Bank Group CEO, Dr. Mwangi. Yeah. And I want to implore upon him strongly to extend his Wings to Fly program also for our seafarers. And if it is possible also, give loans, to these young people, soft loans, when it comes to the embarkation, resources that they need. The SID, the card that they need to get, the passport, the medical examination, they can as well give them some soft loans. But they will also benefit as a financial institution because we'll implore upon these young people to open bank accounts with them.
Yeah.
So we are working 24/7. For us, even a weekend is actually an official day of working for
Yes,
us. And that's the reason why I'm meeting, the administration, top administration of Equity.
Okay. We are with a discussion here with the PS Shadrach Wandibe, and we've been talking about sustainability and also the opportunities that are in the shipping and maritime department. And we have gone extensively to a point where we were talking about the students who may lack fees have an option now. You don't have to complain. You don't have to go out there say, I would love to, but I can't, because they are offering you a solution. And they are also going in. Now, today, they will be meeting with
the group CEO for Equity Bank, Dr. James Mwangi, a person who I think we should all emulate, of what he has done for this country, even in terms of encouraging young people to get education, even abroad.
Yeah.
So he's one example of, a Kenyan who is truly patriotic. And therefore, that's the reason why we're reaching out to him also to support us in terms of our program in the blue economy. Yeah.
And I've received a question of, I want to be a seafarer, yes. But which are the options? Seafarer is a very general word.
Absolutely.
But there are many, 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 many courses to do. And maybe we just know maybe a captain. And that's it. So which are some of these courses that are offered in that are there in the shipping and maritime department?
Okay, the one that you've just mentioned is nautical science. You can do it at diploma level, you can do it at degree level, you can do it at master's level. And indeed, we have one young person who did that course and has done extremely well for herself. A young lady, Elizabeth Marami, whom we are very proud of as it is now. And I think she has only one more course to go, before she reaches the highest level of a pilot. Yeah, so we have a number of young people who have done nautical science. There are others who have done marine engineering, there are others who have done other technical, courses like the ones I mentioned earlier on, even if it's electrical engineering, because we need electricians also in the ships. There are others who have done basic ones, artisanal courses like plumbing, for example, welding, painting, which are very unique courses that are undertaken for, ship painting is not the same as painting a building. So you need some additional skills on it. So we have courses right from the top level for officers all the way down to the people that we call ratings, the general staff that ensure that ships are maintained as required. Yeah.
And there's been complaints by, of course, the locals in Mombasa about the opportunities. And I'd love you to clarify. Because most times people say, or the locals say, that the opportunities are given to outsiders and that they are left without anything or with just little for the ya kufunga macho, you know. So what's your take on that?
First of all, the Kenya Kwanza administration addresses issues from a national level. You know, it's all young people whom we have to cater for their needs. So, you know, when you talk of outsiders, I wonder whether you're talking of people from outside the country or you're talking from, you know, a perspective of young people within the country. If it is within the country, of course, we have to take into consideration all their needs. But let me say this quickly. Yes, there is that perception concerning young people in Coast Province that they have not been able to access these opportunities as much as possible. And I think it calls upon us in leadership also to come up with affirmative action that will then do away with that perception. Now, two things. I've had an opportunity of meeting at least 2 governors so far within the coastal region. And I have pushed them to offer scholarships also to these young people. The so-called young people who feel, you know, as if their opportunities have been taken up by others, you know, a deliberate effort. Then I take them up with some of these shipping companies and ensure that they are taken on board. You see, gradually with time, that perception will be done away with.
Yes.
And not only that, even the 20 million that I've just talked about, you know, we will set aside a certain percentage, even as we negotiate with the Higher Education Loans Board and Kenya Maritime Authority, that will specifically address that perception. So the young people in Coast Province will be able to access it. I want to push as many of them as possible to realize these opportunities that are available. You know,
Yes.
I'm here to support them. I'm here to push for the agenda. After all, the water body that we have, you know, within the coastal region is a major resource at their backyard. The others who have other resources from the regions where they come from. But this is a major resource for the coastal people. And therefore, the need for me to push them to be as aggressive as possible and to apply for these loans, you know, to take up that which I'm telling them, you know, to access and therefore be able to complete the courses. And after that, they should be able to get employment in these international companies. Let me also say this. I grew up in Mombasa. I did my primary schooling in Mombasa. And I recall very well that seafarers were the richest in Mombasa. If you are talking of major estates, affluent estates like Nyali, Kizingo, you know, Tudor, and such like places, it was actually seafarers who owned houses there. The biggest and, you know, most modern vehicles and what have you. They were an inspiration to the young people in Coast. But somehow we have lost it here. And, you know, we have taken into consideration other things, you know, that are not really beneficial to young people. Like as it is now, the role models, which is unfortunate, and we're trying to address that issue as much as possible, are drug barons. You know, we need to address that issue comprehensively and bring back the seafarers of yesteryears, the way they used to be influential in the coastal region, back to the fold and at the center of things. Because these are the people who will then act as role models for the young people to realize the opportunities available, and when they mature and they graduate from educational institutions, exploit you know, those job opportunities.
There are so many bodies that relate or that are under the shipping and maritime affairs. There's KMA.
Yes.
There's the Marine Security. Is that okay? So the Marine Security Committee.
Yes.
And so would you break down for us the bodies that are there and their mandate? Because sometimes you might think KMA is responsible for something, yet it's another body.
Right.
And sometimes we want to hold a body accountable, yet we are holding the wrong body accountable. So if you may try to help us understand what each body does.
Okay, so I'll begin with the semi-autonomous government agencies under my charge, under the State Department of Shipping and Maritime Affairs. We have Kenya Maritime Authority, which is a regulator in the blue space, the blue economy. You know, they regulate the industry in terms of issuance of licenses, you know, to boat owners, inspection of these licenses to ensure they meet the safety standards as required, registration of seafarers, you know, ensuring that the educational institutions that offer courses, you know, on maritime training also offer the right curriculum, you know, so that they were within the curriculum that has been set by Kenya Maritime Authority and the like. So they are a regulator in the industry. Then, of course, we have the famous Bandari Maritime Academy, which I said we are trying to convert it into a regional center of excellence to take in students even from the entire, you know, East African region. So that's the second parastatal. Then we have the Kenya National Shipping Line, which I touched on earlier on, you know, a company that has been in existence for some time, but we are trying to revamp it now so that it's able to perform and even post profits. Not only just profits, abnormal profits, because they have the capacity to do so. But within the blue economy, we also have Ministry of Transport. Kenya Ports Authority is under the State Department of Transport. And as you know, the mandate of Kenya Ports Authority is to manage ports in Kenya, whether within the sea or even the other water bodies, the inland water bodies that we have, like Kisumu, for example. They are the ones who manage it. And then we also have fisheries. The Kenya Marine Fisheries Institute and also the authority, that is under another state department. That is the State Department of Fisheries. So in a general way, these are actually the parastatals that operate within the blue economy. Now, you've touched on maritime security.
Committee.
Absolutely, on matters maritime security and safety, because that is their mandate. The Maritime Security Committee was established a few years back, you know, to look into issues of safety within the sea and other inland water bodies. But it's comprised of members from all the security agencies that deal with matters blue economy. So the chair is the Principal Secretary, Shipping and Maritime Affairs, but we have the Kenya Coast Guard represented, we have the Kenya Navy represented, we have the Kenya Police also as a member of the committee. We have a representative from the National Intelligence Service. We have a representative from the Kenya Wildlife Service because of the marine parks that we have. You know, we have a member from the Kenya Forest Service because of the mangroves that we have in the water bodies. So these are the members of the Maritime Security Committee, which reports to the National Security Council.
So, any strategies to handle accidents, especially that happen in the sea? And because there are a lot of them, and when they happen, they are very fatal.
Absolutely.
And what are some of the strategies that the committee has come up with to help and to ensure that we don't find ourselves in such scenarios?
Okay, so number one is awareness creation, of course, which is very critical on matters safety, you know, and this is undertaken by the Kenya Coast Guard, but also the Kenya Maritime Authority. But not only that, enforcement also, inspecting the boats annually to ensure that they meet the standards required, that they are maintained as, you know, is stipulated in accordance with our regulations. And not only that, we've gone out of our way now, both Kenya Coast Guard and Kenya Maritime Authority, to issue life jackets for free as part of our corporate social responsibility. Kenya Maritime Authority has set aside 20 million. to produce life jackets locally instead of importing them from abroad and our money ends up going elsewhere. We want to produce them locally so as to create, also employment opportunities to our young people within and to make use of the local resources within. So 20 million, and these life jackets are going to be issued to BMUs, the beach management units, and the other operators within the blue economy. Kenya Coast Guard is also doing the same. Other than awareness creation, they are also issuing life jackets so as to ensure that our people, when they go out in the sea, their safety is guaranteed.
Yeah. We're going to take calls now because I see there are a lot of them streaming in, so that we may finish this. It's 9:50, 10 minutes to 10 a.m. A very good time to take your call. Everyone who has been calling, let's put you in line so that you may have a word and ask your question to the PAS, Shadrach Wandime, with us in studio. Okay, hello.
Hello, Diana.
How are you?
I'm good this morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have a question to our very able PS?
Yes. First of all, mine is to say thank you for having me on the show. Kwa mheshimiwa, congratulations on your appointment. Nimekuwa nikisikiza discussion kuanzia asubuhi, and I have a question to ask you. Now, in a bid to establish a sustainable blue economy in the country, I do acknowledge a lot of the efforts that you have said that you have done, but a lot of these projects have been in the works even before you came into office. And as inspirational as Liz Marami's story is, it's important to note that she did not take any of those causes in our country. But you have also, I highlighted the institutions that are offering these causes, and for that I'm very grateful for the information that you have given us. But my question is, Mheshimiwa, it still remains that a lot of our graduates do not get the proper ranks on board. The massive recruitments that have been happening for hospitality and for rating, and a lot of the good work that Mr. Yashpal has been doing, they've been taking a lot of the vocational people that have been trained in welding and plumbing, as you have said. But the situation still remains that even when we are taken on board with these international shipping lines, they do not take us for the proper ranks. Like, for example, I myself, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Lulu Chilumo. I'm a graduate from JKUAT with a bachelor's degree in marine engineering. And as we speak, I am on board one of our local traffic vessels with Lamu Shipping as an engine cadet. Yes, yes. My boss has been very generous. This is the second cohort of ladies that he has taken. And in terms of taking in officers of the engine room watch on the proper ranks on seagoing ships, Lamu Shipping has been the pioneer in that. Even Madam Harriet, who is now on CMA CGM, she completed her cadetship on board. So I would ask again, on a policy level, sir, are we mandating our training institutions, JKUAT, Bandari, TUM, to be able to have these MOUs with shipping lines even at entry points, like what Akina Cyprus are doing? Kwa sababu, we feel like, maybe personally my experience is that we are being discarded at the end of the conveyor belt by a system that has been rewarding us academically all along. Because at the end of the day, graduates, we are piled up at the end, we don't have the proper ranks to go on board, and we see our fellow rating people going, we see our fellow hospitality people going, our fellow vocational people going, but because of the logistics and the resources that are required to take in engine cadets from countries such as ours, it becomes difficult for an individual to do that on their own. So my question is, sir, on a policy level, how are you going to tackle the issue of MOUs and institutions so that even when they're taking us from first year, we know at the end of 4 years, at the end of 5 years, we are going, our position on board MSC is guaranteed, and is guaranteed as an engine cadet or as a deck cadet.
Okay, thank you so much, Lulu, for your question.
You're spot on. You're spot on it completely. And that's the reason why I was saying a legal framework is necessary. We're not just going to push these educational institutions, to enter into some casual arrangement with the shipping companies. It's going to be a must. So we are going to amend our regulations. It does not make sense to produce graduates of several, courses that relate to the maritime economy, and yet after that, they don't have an opportunity to practice that which they have been taught. So as I said, sea time experience is going to be a critical issue for this Kenya Kwanza administration. Earlier on, I'd mentioned that I had an opportunity of sitting with the Parliamentary Committee on Legislative Affairs, on delegated regulation, and that is one thing that we're going to pursue going forward. But I also want to say that charity begins at home. Kenya National Shipping Line. If we had several ships, we will not have a challenge in terms of sea time experience for our young people. And that's the reason why we want to revamp KNSL, so that opportunity is available. What she has just expressed is true. It's extremely frustrating that you have done a course for an officer and you're taken in as a rating because there's no other opportunity that is available. So going forward as a country, we need to be strategic. And that's the reason why I'm pushing for the regulations.
Okay, let's have another caller on who is on hold, and it's 6 minutes to 10 a.m. This is going to be our last call because of time. We are hoping if we have another chance, we will take more. We will take more of this. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Please, we have the PS Mwandime with us in studio. What's your name and what will be your question?
I'm Divina Kemuto Mose, a former student from Marine Bandari. My question is, as for Marine graduates, they are not given opportunities like ladies, equal opportunities. You see, men are given opportunities more than ladies. You see, so many of the ladies who did their course, they are not getting jobs. They're not getting better jobs to do. So we are like, you did a course and yet you have not secured a job. You see, it's like a waste. What are they going to do for ready so that they can get an equal opportunity so that we can secure a job? Yes.
Okay.
Also, they can create a vessel whereby when you just graduate, you get sea time training on our local maybe vessels around before you go to internationals. Maybe if they can, it's possible they can.
Yes.
They create a forum whereby they give equal opportunities for the trainers to get more training before getting to international.
Thank you so much, Davina, for your question.
Davina, again, you're spot on. The kind of questions that are being raised are very critical, by the way, going forward. She's talking of affirmative action, the need for ladies also to be considered. It's only men, who are being considered. They are favored against ladies.
And it's interesting that we have received 2 calls from
ladies, incidentally. But let me say this, Mose. The MOUs that we have entered into with MSc, with CMA, CGM, it's 50-50. 50% ladies, 50% young men. So of course we are cognizant of the fact that it has to be balanced. This country, for it to move forward, we have to consider our ladies and ensure they take up the opportunities that are available in accordance with their capacities. So rest assured about that. It shouldn't be a challenge going forward because it's a question of implementing, the policies that are in place in terms of affirmative action. But you're also right in terms of getting experience from the vessels that ply the local waters before you get an opportunity of possibly now getting on board the international shipping companies, the vessels for international shipping companies. I think it's a question of having meetings with major stakeholders, so as to bring this to their attention, that they should give internship to our young people, even if it's on very little pay, because sea time experience is critical. It's very, very critical. Whatever limited resources that they have, they can share with our young people so that they get, the seat time, which is critical for them to be able to be marketable in the international labor market.
I think the take home here is that a lot of people have immersed themselves into the shipping and maritime courses and studies, and that you as the government should really, really focus on that.
Absolutely.
Making sure that they get these opportunities and that you have addressed the issues like the two have been raised. And I'm so sure if we had time, others would have raised
I'll
other
come
issues.
back again.
Yes, please.
I
Yes,
will
please.
come back in, Diana.
Yes.
It's exciting interacting with young people and getting to respond to their queries because it's about their future.
Yes, it's about their future. And it is 1 minute to 10 a.m. A very good time to end this great talk. But before we end it, I was in the social media some time back, and I saw someone who looks like you with a collar. I want you to confirm something.
Yes, I am a Christian and I do preaching occasionally.
So it was you.
Yes, it is me. The word of God goes hand in hand with our everyday life.
And
it's a light that we should follow to guide us to succeed in life.
And a very interesting one is where you were talking about leadership. And you gave an example of a lady who was sitting on a stool and going to beg every time she was sitting in a stool. As we end, can you give us that story?
How do I recall it?
She did not know what the stool was made of. So she used to take the stool and go to a place and start begging.
Yeah.
And without realizing that she had a lot.
Absolutely. In fact, you've explained it. Yeah, this lady had a stool that was made of, material that would have been beneficial to her had she known that, because she was ignorant about it. And so she'll pick the stool and go sit in a corner somewhere strategic where she could, beg for some alms, some little coins that the people who are passing by will give her. Had she known that what she was sitting on was actually what would have changed her lifestyle altogether, she wouldn't have been going on a daily basis begging.
Do you think that is Kenya?
That is Africa and that is Kenya. We have immense resources that we can exploit for our own good. But we assume that the Western European country is the one that has resources. It's very disheartening for me sometimes to see young people making their way to America for very, basic jobs, manual jobs that are not beneficial to them, yet their capacity is so huge. We have immense resources in Africa. We haven't even started scratching the resources that are available in the blue economy in terms of generating energy, green energy, solar, wind energy, the pharmaceutical products that we can get in the sea, the minerals that are available, oil and what have you. We are just scratching the surface. Even fishing, we are not exploiting fishing to the maximum. So Africa is blessed. That's the message I want to pass through. That you have mentioned, that I'm a preacher man. Africa is blessed immensely. Let's exploit the resources we have for our own good. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It is 2 minutes past 10 a.m. Let's finish this conversation. But the PS is going to come back again. That's what I know.
Absolutely.
Please promise us that you're going to come
Yes,
back
I'm
again.
going to come back again and again and again. It's
Thank
exciting
you so
to talk
much.
to young people. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate. And I'm also very impressed by the Blue Radio, the initiative that began, as I said earlier, with Gilbert. This is encouraging. And we want to support as many young people as possible to go into businesses and employ themselves.
Yes.
It's the way to go if our economy is to change. Asante, Diana.
Thank you so much for also gracing our studios today. We are honored to have